Okie dokie, right. The Living Daylights. The Living Daylights. So Roger Moore is no more. He's gone, never to return, sadly. But it was his time. He had to go. He had to go. But now we've got Timothy Dalton, T-Dog, as people like to call him. And I do like Timothy Dalton, right? Outside of Bond, he was in Hot Fuzz. He was in a show that I really liked called Penny Dreadful, which got cancelled way too early. Obviously, yeah, he was funny in Hot Fuzz. He's been in lots of stuff. He was in Flash Gordon. You know, he was good. He should have played Bond earlier. I think he was offered the role multiple times. Like he was. I think he was offered it in for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but he felt like he was too young for the job. And then again, I think they offered him again and again and again, but he kept saying no until I think maybe during this time period I think maybe his career was starting to go downhill a little bit, or not. I don't want to say downhill, but like maybe he needed the cashish. The annoying thing about this is that actually Piers Brosnan was given the role. Like he had the role, he was locked in for this. So we could have had Piers Brosnan play the role much earlier, before, like GoldenEye was his first film, but we could have got him even earlier, and we could have got more Bonds from him. We could have got more films. He could have been in 6 films, but that didn't happen, all because of Remington Steele and a contract where it said, like, no, he has to do Remington Steele, he can't do James Bond, which is quite horrible, really, isn't it? It's like very controlling. That's Hollywood for you. That's the industry. Like if you're contracted for this, then you can't do that, and it's like, oh dear. But anyway, never mind. Timothy Dalton. And as I said in my last video, I think Timothy Dalton should have started with View to a Kill, and I think that would have been a perfect beginning. But The Living Daylights, I think both of Timothy Dalton's films, which I'll get into the next one as well. But both of these films, I think, are very underrated. They are movies that, because obviously like Roger Moore did like 7 Bond films, Sean Connery also did 7, but obviously one of them was unofficial. And obviously Pierce Brosnan did 4, Daniel Craig did 5. He did more than George Lazenby, but he did 2, in my opinion, very, very solid James Bond films that I feel like don't really get the attention, or don't really get the respect, or people don't talk about these films. People don't say, oh yeah, Living Daylights, my favorite Bond film, blah 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 blah. They don't. And this is actually a really, really good like James Bond film. I mean, I will just say though, the director of this, who I believe is called John Glenn, he's the same director who did the last couple of Roger Moore films. So he did View to a Kill, he did Octopussy, and For Your Eyes Only. So he's actually directed the most Bond films out of any director. And again, I'm not saying that he's not a problem or anything like that. There's no issue with him. But I feel like it does feel like I mean, yeah, obviously, yes, he is the same director of the last couple of Roger Moore films, but I'm just saying it does feel like the same sort of, it feels directed like the same way. And what I'm just trying to get at here is that I think that with a new James Bond, I think there needs to be a new director. There needs to be a new face, in front of the camera, but then there needs to be a new director, somebody behind the camera who is doing things a little bit differently. And maybe again, I'll talk about this later, but GoldenEye feels fresh. GoldenEye feels like cinematography with that film. There's a lot of shadows, and James Bond's very, silhouetted and stuff, Whereas this just feels plain. So again, that's one little critique. And there is a little bit of Roger Moore humour in there as well. And I think there was also there's a deleted scene of James Bond, Timothy Dalton, on top of a magic carpet, or yeah, like he puts a carpet on like some telephone wires and flies on it like a magic carpet. Anyway, it's jammy and it's silly and it's stupid, and I'm glad they cut that out. But yeah, there's still a lingering kind of like that same feeling. Like I feel like there just needed to be new management, if you know what I mean. Like new, just everything needed to be different. And the movie's great though. Like there is a car scene, which is cool. I always like a car scene. He has a car, and there's a scene where they're like skiing with a cello case, and they're using a cello as like a stick to, that's a pretty good fun scene, but again, it's not very realistic. It's as I say, it's very Roger Moore. So it almost just feels like, again, like the script could have had Roger Moore in it, but then they made a few adjustments to it to try and make it less Roger Moore-y. But a couple of things though, that the main villain of this film, a bit confusing. Again, like, because when I saw these films out of order. So like Joe Don Baker is in Goldeneye and he's in Tomorrow Never Dies, but he's in this film for some reason as the main villain, and then he gets killed at the end. And so when I was a little kid, I didn't understand what the hell that was all about. I didn't I didn't get that. But again, it's like Maud Adams. It's like that. She died and then came back for another role, so it's a completely different thing. But I don't think that's a good idea. Like it's very it confuses my whole continuity, the brain. My brain, it doesn't work that way. But the henchman guy is pretty cool. He's a dude who was in Die Hard. He's a bit scary because he's like really tall. He kind of looks German or Austrian or whatever. But anyway, he's quite a good henchman. Oh yeah, and there is a really, really good stunt, really good action sequence at the end, where like James Bond teams up with some like Afghanistani people, and then they go and he infiltrates a plane. There's a bomb on the plane. They have to disarm the bomb, but then they're hanging out of the hanging outside of the plane, and then they're fighting. They're fighting with that big bag of, what do they call that thing at the back of the plane? The sort of the door. I don't know what it is, but anyway, there. I'll show pictures, images here. This scene. This is good. This is a good scene. But that was always very, very exciting. It obviously, yes, Timothy Dalton has a stunt double, clearly, but you don't notice it as much, and that's another thing, is that he's more believable in the action sequences. When he punches somebody, he looks better. When he's fighting a guy, it's like, yeah, good. We've got a younger Bond, younger than Roger Moore, and it just feels better. It feels a little bit more. It's got a little bit more energy to it, and I think that's what the franchise needed. It needed more energy to it, and as much as I love Roger, but I do prefer Timothy Dalton, and it is a shame. It is such a shame that Timothy Dalton didn't play the role sooner, or if not that, it's a shame that he didn't continue to play the role after doing 2 movies, But there's a whole story there. Also, the music as well. John Barry is back for this film, but sadly, this is the last John Barry song. But no, I do like this film. I think the Bond girl's good in it as well. She's really nice and sweet. She plays the cello. Cello, you got a bass.
At a cello, you've got a bass.
And yeah, she's really nice. I don't know what else I can really say about this film. It's that it's a pretty good film. But it's a shame because they're underrated, and it's unfair to Pierce Brosnan that he wasn't able to do this role for this film. But it's also unfair that like Timothy Dalton just did this and then one other film and then that was it, which I will get to now. I'm going to talk about License to Kill because I think I've gone on a little bit too long with this review. But yeah, I like it. There's some good action. It is the last John Barry score. This is the last time he ever does a James Bond song, which is a shame because he did some great scores, did some great music for this franchise. But other people have done good songs, other people have done good music for Bond, and this kind of feels like a very much, end of an era. Oh yeah, Aha. Sorry, forgot to mention Aha. Aha. This is a good Bond song as well. The guy's got a good voice. He has got a very good voice. To be honest with you, I actually think that this song I think is better than the View to a Kill song. I might be wrong there, but I feel it in my bones that I'm right. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go now. Right, Living Daylights. It's a good one. If you haven't seen it, if you are a true Bond fan, you have to watch it. Okay, it's a pretty good one. Yeah. So anyway, bye bye. License to Kill. We're gonna do that next. Right. Thank you. Goodbye.